So his talk was on efficient frontier, how to protect your center from patient-related litigations. And please pardon me as I am first time going through his slides. So with changes occurring in the societal attitude and raw consumerism, every patient and their family should be considered as a potential litigant, especially when healthcare has been declared as a service industry. So once a patient is charged a fee, even by a charitable hospital, it loses the legal immunity of being sued in the consumer court. So what does good medical practice means? It is a defensible practice depending on staying within the limits of your own expertise, keeping up to date, conducting audit, ensuring your administration is effective and does not allow the patients to slip through the net also. So what are the accountabilities of hospitals? The hospital's liability with respect to medical negligence can be direct liability or vicarious liability. Direct liability refers to the deficiency of the hospital itself in providing safe and suitable environment for treatment as promised. Vicarious liability means the liability of an employer for the negligent act of its employees. So an employer is responsible not only for his own acts of commission and omission, but also for the negligence of its employees, so long as the act occurs within the course and scope of their employment, obviously. So about the informed consent, Dr. Jayanto has already said, but just to clarify it more, it is more than just a consent. The healthcare provider must inform the patient about all the risks and complications that may reasonably occur during that procedure, however minor they may be. And the treating doctor should mention about alternative treatments available and what happens if no treatment is done. And it has to be done in the language the patient or legal guardian understands. Detailed discussion with the patient with a witness, each from their side and the surgical team, along with the written and signed consent form is important. And with this audiovisual, the litigants cannot claim that they were coerced or forced to sign the consent form. The failure to obtain informed consent can be a form of medical negligence, as already told by Dr. Jayanto. And disclose the likely expenses, especially in case of expensive surgeries, procedures well in advance, as Dr. Suprakash was telling, and do not refuse to treat an emergency patient even if they do not have the ability to pay. Take a proper written acknowledgement from the patient in case of failure to pay fees, but that is important. So the role of documentation, maintaining medical records in the prescribed format is compulsory even in emergencies. Appropriate entries regarding investigation, diagnosis, treatment, etc. must be duly made. It is prudent to write the name of drugs in capital letters, even better if printouts are kept available. Use standard abbreviations and short forms while writing medical records. But in discharge summary, write full form. For example, it is wise to write on discharge 4 times daily rather than QDS, as we are just write like that. The medical record should include patient's complete name on each and every record. Record both the medical act performed or the advice given, as well as the purpose or reason for that particular medical act or advice. Ensure there are no inconsistencies in different medical records or at different places in the same than erasing or putting white ink. Put a circle around the inconsistent remark and write the correct one by its side and then sign, so that it doesn't show that you have manipulated with the data. Take patient's or legal guardian's signature or initials on every page of consent form or medical records. About conducting an audit, it is an integral part of the medical practice nowadays. In particular, you must take part in regular and systematic medical and clinical audit, recording data honestly. When necessary, you must respond to the results of audit to improve your practice. For example, by undertaking further training, respond constructively to the outcome of reviews, assessments, or appraisals of your performance, and take part in confidential inquiries and adverse event recognition and reporting to help reduce risk to patients. And the role of communication. The name of the doctor will have overall responsibility for the treatment, and where appropriate, names of the senior members of his or her team has to be disclosed to the patients. A reminder that patients can change their minds about their decision at any point of time. A reminder that patients have a right to seek for a second opinion, and where applicable, details of costs or charges which the patient has to bear. So be a good listener, not only the doctors. Your support team also have to have eyes and as are on the speaker. Brain is thinking about what is being said, ears listen carefully, mouth is quiet, hands are still, and feet are still. So the administration is not just for administrator. Unless basic systems are in place to deal with patient referral, follow-up, completion of clinical records, clinical correspondence, reviewing test results, and acting appropriately on abnormalities, all sorts of things can do and go wrong with potentially catastrophic effects for the patients. So the administration has to ensure the safety of patient and staff in all areas of hospital control, and hospital control of infection, cleanliness, sanitation, fire control, training and motivation of employees, and how to reduce the legal liability, invest time in communication, discuss risk and benefits, do not change any records, write legibly and document contemporaneously with the treatment. So to prevent the lawsuit, ensure the performance of administrative duties, establishing a legal cell in the hospital, hospital professional and general liability insurance, ensure performance of professional duty and alternative dispute resolution policy. This alternative dispute resolution procedure consists of negotiation, reconciliation, mediation, arbitration, neutral evaluation. They're extrajudicial in character. And I think this is a very important part a hospital can play in avoiding the medical lawsuits. Hospital administrator can adopt these technologies to avoid costly and lengthy legal procedures. When complications happen, even if due to medical error, discuss the event with the patient and her family, as Dr. Jayanto has already told, explain what happened and why you believe it happened, and acknowledge how the patient and family must feel and not how you feel. And I think this is true not only for the doctors, but also for all the support staffs in the hospital. So develop good communication and rapport with patient and family, spend as much time on your contact with patient and family, and maintain a good flow of information to the patient and family. Help the family focus on what can be done to help the patient's recovery. If the complication was due to medical error, have a plan for how to quickly compensate the patient. So empathy is the power of compassion. Thank you.